All right, let's start today with a bit of a scenario.
Okay.
I want you to imagine you are starting a business in 2025, but not just any business, a service business. High stakes, highly regulated, very, very competitive, let's say, a law firm. How do you actually design it?
Design it? Well, I mean, the traditional playbook is pretty dusty, right? You rent a decent office, you print some embossed business cards, buy a nice mahogany desk, and you wait for the phone to ring.
Right. That's the classic view. The lawyer as this solitary artist just surrounded by books.
Exactly.
But today, we are looking at a set of documents, a company profile, really, that suggests the game is, well, changing completely. We are doing a deep dive into a Malaysian firm called An Ali & Co., or AAC for short.
Which on the surface sounds like just another new legal firm. You know, they are based in Bangui, Selangor.
Right.
Their certificate of registration is dated October 13th, 2025. So, legally speaking, they are brand new.
Brand new on paper. But when you actually look at the source material, the resumes, the operational structure, the client list, this isn't just a law firm.
Yeah.
It looks more like a hybrid engine. We have a founder with a very specific high-level legislative background. And then we have a wild card in the leadership team that I honestly did not see coming.
The wild card is definitely the hook here. But I think before we get to the plot twist, we have to understand the foundation.
Fair point.
Because you can't have a hybrid engine if the chassis falls apart.
So let's look at the chassis. The firm is AAC. Their motto is justice, integrity, results.
Sounds pretty standard.
It does, but the person running the show, Puan Nurul Ain, has a resume that reads a bit differently than your average conveyancing lawyer.
It really does. And this addresses the first big hurdle for any new firm, right? The experience gap.
Yeah.
You can't launch a firm dealing with million ringgit corporate loans if you just graduated yesterday. Puan Nurul Ain is bringing over a decade of experience to the table.
I looked through her timeline in the notes. She spent nearly 8 years at a firm called Messrs. Azmi Ramlan and Mona Lisa. And the description of her work there is intense. It's not just, I showed up.
No, it's volume work. High-pressure volume work.
Yeah.
She was the primary liaison for housing projects.
Okay.
Now, for you listening who isn't in property law, that doesn't just mean she helped people buy houses.
No.
It means she was likely managing the entire legal workflow for property developers.
So she's the one making sure the developer gets paid, the bank releases the money, and the buyer actually gets the keys.
Exactly. It's project management disguised as law. But that's actually the less interesting part of her background, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, if you look further back, she spent time at the Human Resources Development Fund, or HRDF.
I saw that. She was a legal executive. But the notes highlight something specific. She was involved in amending the Pembangunan Sumber Manusia Act 2001.
Right. And this is a crucial distinction. Most lawyers spend their careers interpreting the law. They ask, what does this clause mean for my client right now?
Yeah.
Puan Nurul Ain has experience actually writing the law, or at least the regulations that support it.
That uses different brain muscles, doesn't it?
Completely. It's about legislative intent. When you understand how the regulations are drafted, how the sausage is made, so to speak, you have a much better instinct for how a regulator will enforce them later.
So it gives you a kind of compliance mindset.
A compliance mindset that a standard litigator might lack.
And that tracks because she also works as a compliance executive at Credit Bureau Malaysia.
Yep.
Dealing with the Personal Data Protection Act, or PDPA.
Which is huge. Data privacy is practically a currency now.
Absolutely.
So, looking at the founder, you have a full-stack lawyer. She can handle the messy, high-volume property deals, but she also speaks the language of government regulators and data compliance officers.
Okay, so that's the lawyer side of the equation.
Yeah.
Solid, experienced, versatile. But now we have to talk about the wild card. Because I'm looking at the organizational chart in the profile, and sitting right there as the business development manager is a guy named Tiz Maud Khairul Natsiri.
And I assume you noticed the letters before his name. Keys.
I did. And the source material clarifies he is a professional technologist, an engineer.
Correct. He's not a lawyer. He has 15 years of experience in engineering. He currently works as a head of service division managing 25 engineers, and his resume is filled with things like PLC and SCADA systems.
Okay, stop. We need to define those for the non-engineers listening. What on earth is SCADA?
It stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition.
Okay.
Basically, it's the computer systems used to control industrial processes like factory lines, water treatment plants, power grids. It's heavy, complex, systems-level engineering.
So here is the million-dollar question. Why is a guy who specializes in industrial control systems running business development for a boutique law firm in Bangui?
I know.
It feels like a typo.
It does seem absurd at first glance, doesn't it? But think about the biggest complaint people have about lawyers.
That they're expensive.
Well, yes. But usually it's that they're slow
Ah.
or disorganized or they miss a deadline. Law schools teach you how to argue a case. They do not teach you how to run a business. They don't teach efficiency.
Or workflow optimization.
Not at all.
So you're saying they brought in an engineer to treat the law firm like a factory?
In a way, yes. Look at his other certifications. He's Google certified in project management. He specializes in turnaround projects.
Okay.
If you view a conveyancing department, which handles hundreds of property files simultaneously, as a manufacturing line, who is better equipped to optimize it? A lawyer who loves debating philosophy, or an engineer who builds automated control systems?
That is a fascinating shift in perspective. It's systems thinking applied to legal services.
Exactly.
Instead of widgets, they were processing titles and contracts.
Precisely. He's there to build the machine. The lawyer provides the fuel, the legal knowledge, but the engineer builds the engine, the workflow. And there's another layer to his resume that is critical for 2025.
His cybersecurity certification. I saw that at the bottom of his bio.
Yes, he holds a Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate.
Which feels incredibly relevant. I mean, if I'm a big bank, say Bank Islam or Public Bank, both of whom are listed as clients here, I'm terrifyingly worried about data breaches.
You are. You're handing over customer data, loan details, financial histories. If a law firm is just keeping that in a dusty filing cabinet or on an unsecured laptop, they are a massive liability. Having a certified technologist in leadership is a massive signal to those corporate clients. It says, we aren't just legally safe, we are digitally safe.
It's a trust signal. It tells the procurement department at the bank that these guys aren't
amateurs. Yeah.
It's a competitive advantage. It differentiates them from the mom and pop firms that haven't updated their IT systems in a decade. So we have the soul, the founder, and the skeleton, the engineer. Good way to put it. Now let's look at what this body actually does. The profile breaks their services down into 3 pillars. The first is conveyancing. We touched on this, but the list of services goes way deeper than I expected.
It's comprehensive. They list land alienation, which I know sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I was going to say, are we seizing land from Martians? What does alienation actually mean in a legal context?
It's a very old term. In Malaysia and many Commonwealth jurisdictions, all land ultimately belongs to the state authority. Alienation is the process where the state disposes of that land to a private individual or company for a specific period, like a 99-year leasehold.
So it's the birth of a property title.
Exactly. And that is complicated bureaucratic work. It involves the land office, state approvals, premiums. By listing this, AAC is signaling that they work at the start of the property life cycle.
Right, helping developers acquire the land to build on.
Not just selling the finished condos at the end.
They also mention drafting construction contracts and project financing. So again, the target client here isn't necessarily just you or me buying a terrace house.
Yeah.
It's the developer building the whole row.
Right. Though they do handle the retail side too, sale and purchase agreements, tenancies. It's a volume game.
And that's where the engineer's efficiency likely comes into play.
Exactly. Making sure that those hundreds of SPAs don't get bottlenecked.
Okay, moving to the second pillar, litigation and arbitration. They call this the shield. But looking at the list, it feels more like the sword.
It is a bit aggressive, isn't it?
They list things like garnishment, writ of seizure and sale, and bankruptcy.
These are enforcement mechanisms. Let's break down garnishment. If you owe me money and you refuse to pay, but I know your employer pays you a salary every month.
Okay.
I can get a court order to garnish that salary. The money bypasses you and comes straight to me.
Ouch. That sounds effective but painful.
It is effective. And writ of seizure and sale is exactly what it sounds like. Going to your premises, tagging your assets, and selling them to pay off the debt.
Why is a new firm focusing so heavily on this? It seems a bit, dark.
Because of their clients. Remember the list.
Banks, financial institutions.
Right. And what is the number one problem a bank has?
People not paying back their loans.
Exactly. Non-performing loans or NPLs. AC is positioning itself as a recovery agent for these banks.
I
They don't just draft the loan agreement, that's the conveyancing or corporate side. They clean up the mess when the borrower defaults. That's the litigation side.
It's a full cycle service.
A very sticky business model. Once a bank trusts you with their recovery files, you have a steady stream of work, regardless of how the economy is doing.
In fact, when the economy is bad, that kind of work probably goes up.
It often does.
That's a cynical but accurate point. They also list family law here. Divorce, adoption, estate administration. That feels like an outlier compared to the corporate stuff.
It is, but it's necessary. We call it maintaining the client life cycle.
Wait a minute.
The CEO of the property development company you represent, he might need a will or a divorce. If you send him to another firm, you risk losing the relationship. Keeping it in-house protects the client asset.
Got it. The third pillar is banking, corporate, and commercial. This seems to be the growth engine.
This is where they move up the value chain. They mention business and asset acquisitions in Malaysia and Singapore.
That cross-border element caught my eye. Singapore is a big jump for a banky firm.
It is, but the economies are so intertwined. If a Malaysian SME wants to open a branch in Singapore or buy a competitor there, they need legal guidance.
And by offering this, AAC prevents their clients from graduating to bigger city firms.
Exactly. They keep them in their ecosystem.
And this connects back to the engineer again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The profile mentions he identifies opportunities for new service contracts.
Right. If he's out there networked with engineering firms, manufacturing plants, tech companies, he can bring them in as corporate clients. He can say, you need to restructure your company. My firm can do that. You need a distributorship agreement. We can do that.
It broadens the funnel.
Broadens the funnel beyond just the people Poonarul Ain knows from her legal circles.
Okay, we've covered the who and the what. Now we need to talk about the how. Specifically, trust.
The currency of the legal profession.
You mentioned earlier that they are a new firm, October 2025.
Mm.
But the client list in the source is heavy.
Very heavy.
Bank Islam, Public Bank, Hong Leong, Bank Muamalat, government agencies like LPPSA, the Public Sector Home Financing Board.
And the Johor Corporation Berhad, a massive state investment arm.
How does a firm that is barely out of the wrapper get on the panel for Bank Islam? That feels impossible.
This is a key insight into how professional services work. Relationships are portable. Bank Islam isn't hiring Ain Ali & Co., the legal entity. They're hiring Puan Nurul Ain, the person who has delivered results for them for the last 10 years at her old firm.
So when she left, the reputation traveled with her.
To an extent, yes. But, and this is a big but, institutions have strict procurement rules.
Right.
They can't just hire their friend. They need to tick boxes. And one of the biggest boxes is insurance.
The professional indemnity insurance. The profile highlights this specifically.
Most people skim past the insurance section, but in a company profile, it's a strategic declaration. They're insured by Pacific and Orient Insurance Co. Berhad. But look at the limit.
RM, 4,650,000,
Yeah.
4.65 million ringgit.
For any one claim.
That seems like a very specific and very large number.
It's not random. Major banks often have tiers for their panel lawyers. To handle transactions above a certain value, say a commercial loan for a factory, the law firm must carry insurance coverage of at least X amount.
So by carrying RM 4.65 million in coverage, they're basically flashing a badge that says, we are qualified for the big deals.
Exactly. It removes the risk for the bank. If the lawyer makes a catastrophic mistake, transfers the money to the wrong account, misses a critical filing deadline, the insurance covers it. If they only had RM 500,000 coverage, the bank simply couldn't give them the big files.
It's an investment in capacity. They are paying for high premiums to ensure they aren't disqualified from the high-value work.
It signals ambition. They aren't trying to stay small. They are building infrastructure for volume.
There's another signal in the profile regarding their operations. They explicitly state a zero-tolerance policy for bribery and corruption.
We do not condone bribery, fraud, or corrupt practices, yes.
It feels a bit aggressive. I mean, shouldn't that be obvious? You're a law firm. You shouldn't be bribing people.
You would hope so. But in the corporate world, specifically regarding ESG, environmental, social, and governance, this is now a requirement.
Explain that.
Big multinational clients and government-linked companies, or GLCs, are under pressure to ensure their supply chain is clean. This includes their lawyers. They need to see an explicit anti-corruption policy on paper. By putting this front and center, AAC is aligning themselves with the compliance departments of their biggest clients.
It's checking another box for the procurement team.
It is, but it also sets a culture. The profile mentions they split the firm into two distinct departments, conveyancing and litigation.
Why does that matter structurally?
Focus and ethics. Conveyancing is collaborative. You want the deal to close. Everyone wins.
Right.
Litigation is adversarial. You want to win, often at the other guy's expense. If you have the same lawyer trying to do both, it gets messy. Splitting them operationalizes their values. It ensures you have specialists, not generalists.
Which brings us back to the engineer's influence.
Strong.
Structure, process, specialization.
It really is the recurring theme here.
Yeah.
We often talk about disruption in industries like tech or media, but we rarely talk about it in law.
Because law feels archaic. It feels protected.
It is. But AAC shows that disruption doesn't have to mean AI robots replacing lawyers. It can be as simple and effective as cross-pollination.
Cross-pollination.
Bringing a different species of thinking into the ecosystem. Puan Nurul Ain is the legal expert. She is the soul of the firm. But Atismod Karol Natsiri is the skeleton. He provides the structure that allows the soul to function at scale.
I love that analogy. You need the skeleton to stand up, but you need the soul to be alive.
And if you are listening to this and you run a business or a team, that is the takeaway. Who is your engineer?
Or who is your lawyer?
Right. If you are a team of creatives, you might need a boring process person. If you are a team of engineers, maybe you need a storyteller. We tend to hire people who look and think like us. This profile suggests that the strongest firms are built by people who think completely differently from one another.
It's about cognitive diversity.
And not just having it in the room, but putting it in charge. Remember, the engineer here isn't an IT support guy. He's the business development manager.
He's in leadership.
He's in leadership. That is a bold choice.
It definitely makes me look at those dry company profiles differently. There's usually a strategy hiding in the fine print, if you know where to look.
Always. The devil and the angel is in the details.
So we've unpacked AAC, the full-stack lawyer and the systems engineer, a firm designed for the complexity of 2025.
A very modern case study.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought. We've seen how this firm is integrating engineering to optimize workflow and security. We know that AI is getting better at drafting basic contracts.
It's getting very good very fast.
So if the process is handled by engineers and the drafting is handled by AI, what is left for the lawyer?
That is the question of the decade.
Are we moving toward a future where a law firm is actually run by data scientists and project managers, and the lawyer is just a technical consultant they hire to sign the documents?
The Uberization of legal practice. It's possible. The power dynamic might flip.
Something to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
And to you listening, thanks for your time. We'll catch you on the next one.